And gusty conditions fueling wildfire dangers across the central U.S. and southeast. More than 25 million people in 10 states under red flag warnings tonight. That includes big cities like Raleigh, Atlanta, and Denver. North Carolina issuing a statewide bird ban. Here's ABC's Ike Ajachi.
Tonight, multiple areas across the country are under an elevated fire threat. Over 25 million people in 10 states remain under red flag warnings as warm, dry, and windy conditions continue to raise the possibility of wildfires. Those warnings stretching from New Mexico to South Carolina, covering major cities such as Raleigh, Charlotte, and Atlanta. The Denver metro area also under a red flag warning. In the southeast, the greatest risk across portions of North Carolina, where a statewide burn ban is in effect. Right now in Polk County, officials there say 3 separate wildfires are burning, mostly uncontained. In Miami-Dade, Florida, firefighters are making progress, battling a large brush fire that's already claimed 27,000 acres.
There's still going to be obviously smoke for, days or weeks to go.
When a couple weeks ago, North and South Carolina were ravaged by 175 wildfires, and tonight, those same areas once again under threat. Whit?
Ike Ajachi, thanks so much. Let's get right to meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our New York station, WABC. And Danny, how long is this fire threat expected to last?
With this current threat lasts through this evening, but the dry conditions continue through the weekend until much-needed rain arrives with the next storm system crossing the country. Just look at the alerts. Red flag warnings in effect until 8 p.m. local time. Then our attention turns to rain, snow, and wind, moving from the Mountain West to the Midwest tonight into tomorrow morning. By Sunday night, a severe threat develops from East Texas to Western Tennessee with damaging wind gusts and large hail. Expect heavy rain in cities like Cincinnati and Chicago. Then that rain moves to the Northeast with a messy Monday morning commute for the I-95 corridor, so the next 48 hours stay very active. Whit?
Something to watch. Danny Beckstrom, we always appreciate it. Thank you. Tonight, we're learning new details in the death of legendary actor Gene Hackman. Newly released body camera video showing New Mexico sheriff's deputies arriving on the scene and discovering the bodies of the Oscar winner and his wife, and what they heard from witnesses and caretakers at the home. Here's ABC's Zorin Shah.
Tonight, new body camera video revealing the moments after actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy were found dead in their Santa Fe home last month. The family's workers shocked. Sheriff's deputies releasing this body camera video, including interviews with a witness and initial fears that the cause of death could have been carbon monoxide poisoning.
I would communicate with her pretty much on a weekly basis. That stopped.
Officials later determined that carbon monoxide was not a factor. Instead, Hackman died from severe heart disease with Alzheimer's as a significant contributory factor, and Betsy died a week earlier of the rare hantavirus disease. Officials determining one of their dogs, who was in a crate, likely died of dehydration and starvation. Workers saying they had no idea about major health issues. Workers at the property overcome with the couple's passing.
Just a normal person, and I was to see that, both of them, sorry.
As for the inside footage, Hackman's estate wants to block that release, citing privacy. A judge will determine that later this month. Whit?
Zorin Shah for us tonight. Thank you. Turning to politics now, in the White House taking aim at the U.S. legal system. President Trump directing his attorney general to take action against attorneys and law firms that engage in what he calls frivolous and unreasonable litigation against the federal government. ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang reports from Washington.
Tonight, President Trump escalating his threats towards the U.S. legal system, directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to punish law firms engaging in frivolous, unreasonable, and vexatious litigation against the United States, vowing to use the full power of the Justice Department, including imposing sanctions and revoking security clearances. The White House memo saying lawyers and law firms that engage in actions that violate the laws of the United States or rules governing attorney conduct must be efficiently and effectively held accountable. The president also ordering his Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to find immigration lawyers they accuse of coaching clients to file dishonest asylum claims to circumvent immigration policies. All of this apparently part of a broader campaign of retribution against lawyers and judges who've opposed Trump personally or politically. Trump retaliating against law firms that have worked on cases against him, revoking security clearances for lawyers at Paul Weiss, Perkins Coie, and Covington and Burling, rescinding his executive order targeting Paul Weiss this week only after Trump says the firm promised to abandon its diversity policies and give $40 million in free legal work for administration initiatives. This comes as Trump calls for the impeachment of U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, who ordered the administration to halt the deportation of hundreds of Venezuelans accused of being members of the Tren de Aragua gang. But the flights did not stop, sparking a tense standoff between the president and the courts. Trump taking to Fox News.
Many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left.
And when on Monday, the Trump administration is expected to be in the appeals court to try and get Judge Boasberg thrown off the case, they claim that he is biased. And tonight, a Trump administration official tells me that deportation flights continue nearly every day, with 21 migrants sent to Guantanamo Bay this week. Whit?
Selena Wang at the White House, thank you. Now to the immigration crackdown and Cornell grad student facing deportation. ICE officials telling that student, a pro-Palestinian activist, to surrender. This after he filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration. And the new details coming in tonight. Here's ABC's Alex Brochet.
Tonight, the Trump administration intensifying crackdowns and sparking fear at colleges and universities across the country. Cornell University graduate student Mamadou Tall, seen here on the social media platform X, is the latest pro-Palestinian protester to be allegedly targeted by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Court records show he was temporarily suspended twice last year for his part in student protest of Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza, but had since been allowed to continue his studies remotely. Tall, a citizen of the UK and Gambia, who was here on a student visa, filed a lawsuit last weekend challenging Trump's executive order aimed at deporting foreign nationals who participated in protests critical of Israel. On Wednesday, he posted to X that law enforcement from an unidentified agency had been parked outside his home. On Friday, his attorney says they received an email from the Justice Department asking the PhD student to turn himself into ICE. The Department of Education has launched investigations into 60 universities over claims of anti-Semitism and discrimination, including Columbia University in New York, where there are still protests over the arrest and detention of Mahmoud Khalil earlier this month. The Columbia University graduate was the leader of student protests on campus last year, and now apparently detained in Louisiana without any formal charges filed against him as he awaits a court appearance in April. As for Tall, his attorneys say that they haven't been notified by the government as to whether he faces charges or deportation. A hearing is slated for Tuesday in Syracuse. Wait.
All right, Alex Brochet, thank you. And tune into This Week tomorrow morning. John Karl speaks with White House border czar Tom Homan on the continued court clashes over the Trump administration's deportation policies. We go overseas now in the exchange. Next tonight, Pope Francis will be discharged from a Rome hospital tomorrow after 38 days. His medical team says Francis will require at least 2 months of rest as he continues his recovery back in the Vatican. The Pope, who's 88 years old, was admitted to the hospital in mid-February suffering from bronchitis that worsened into a life-threatening case of pneumonia. An urgent search continues tonight off Jacksonville, Florida after a boat capsized Friday night. 4 people were rescued, but several others were tossed into St. Johns River. One body was later recovered, but an adult and 2 children are still missing. Still ahead, a champion boxer with a personality to match. We'll remember George Foreman. Finally tonight, we remember heavyweight boxing champion George Foreman, who died last night at the age of 76. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
He was the 2-time heavyweight champion who proved age has no limits, standing 6'4", nicknamed Big George.
The impossible dream has happened.
At just 19 years old, George Foreman took home Olympic gold in Mexico City, using what ESPN eventually dubbed his wrecking ball fist.
We've got the excitement.
Foreman going 40-0, including a stunning knockout of then undefeated Joe Frazier.
It is over. It is over.
And in perhaps the most famous fight of all time, he took on Muhammad Ali in the historic Rumble in the Jungle in 1974 and suffered his first loss. His career spanning 3 decades, Foreman retiring in 1977, but returned to the ring and in a shocking move chose to face Michael Moorer, who was 19 years his junior. Foreman, at 45 years old, pulling off a spectacular knockout in the 10th round.
It happened! It happened!
Becoming at the time the oldest man in history to hold the champion title. And despite his dominance in the ring, his good-natured personality helped him become a successful businessman when he retired from boxing, promoting the George Foreman grill used by so many. The venture made him wealthier than the sport ever did, selling more than 100 million units. Growing up in Houston, he came from simple roots, going on to become a pastor. And in 1994, telling ABC's Prime Time his message for the world.
Keep dreaming. Believe in yourself. Doesn't matter what people say about you. It matters what you say about yourself.
George Foreman was 76 years old. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
Remembering the champ. Thanks so much for watching tonight. Have a great night.